You saw something online recently that made you feel something. Outrage, joy, fear, connection, love for a stranger, contempt for someone you have never met. It felt completely real. Here is the thing nobody is saying out loud. It might not have been. Not in the sense of a lie, not in the sense of something deliberately fabricated. In a much more disturbing sense. A French philosopher named Jean Baudrillard published a book in 1981, before the internet existed, before social media existed, before deep fakes existed, before AI-generated reality existed, that describes the world of 2026 with more precision than anything written after it. Researchers are calling it a documentary of the present. His argument, once you understand it, is impossible to unknow. We are not living in reality. We are living in a model of reality. And the model has become more convincing, more real feeling, more emotionally satisfying than the thing it replaced. Here is what Baudrillard actually saw. He said there are 4 stages to how images and representations work in human societies. Stage 1. An image reflects something real. A portrait of a king represents an actual king. A photograph of a place represents that actual place. The representation and the reality are connected. Stage 2. The image starts to distort what it represents. The portrait makes the king look more powerful than he actually is. The photograph is edited to make the place look more beautiful than it actually is. The connection to reality is still there, but it is being manipulated. Stage 3. The image pretends to represent something real, but the real thing has already disappeared. There is nothing behind the performance anymore. The image is manufacturing reality, not recording it. Stage 4. The image has no relationship to reality at all. It is a copy, without an original, a sign that refers to nothing except other signs. He called this the simulacrum. And his argument was that modern society had already reached stage 4 in 1981, 40 years before the technology that made it undeniable. Now stop and think about what you are actually living through. Your social media feed is not a window onto the world. It is a model of the world, constructed by algorithms that have studied your emotional responses with more precision than any propagandist in history, and optimized to keep you maximally engaged. The influencer whose life made you feel inadequate. You were not looking at their life. You were looking at a performance of their life, crafted specifically for the emotional effect it produces in you. The news event that made you furious. You were not encountering the event. You were encountering a version of it, selected and framed and sequenced by systems that learned which emotional version holds your attention longest. The political leader you love or despise, you have never met them. You have only ever met the media construction of them, a simulacrum, a copy that refers to other copies, all the way down. Baudrillard's most famous example, written before any of this existed, is Disneyland. Disneyland, he said, is presented as imaginary. It is the place where the fantasy is, over there, behind the gates, contained and labeled as not real. This allows us to believe that the rest of America, outside the gates, is real. But the rest of America is not real either. It is a simulation of wealth, of success, of the American dream, a model without an original that it was ever copied from. Disneyland exists to make you think the unreality is contained, isolated, quarantined in one place, so you do not notice that the unreality is everywhere. Now replace Disneyland with your phone. The internet is often described as the place where the fake things are, where misinformation lives, where the performances happen, where the simulations run. This framing, Baudrillard would say, is itself a simulation. It exists so that you believe the real world, offline, is still there, intact, unaffected. But the process of simulation did not start with the internet. The internet just made it visible. Celebrity culture, the construction of famous people as simulacra, copies of personalities with no authentic original behind them. The celebrity does not exist, only the celebrity image does. Advertising, the systematic replacement of products with the feeling of products. You do not buy a car. You buy freedom, identity, status, models that have replaced the object. Politics, the construction of governance as spectacle, the event replaced by the representation of the event, the policy replaced by the image of the policy. The simulation was already total before the internet arrived. And here is the part Baudrillard identified that is the most difficult to sit with. When the simulation becomes total, something deeply strange happens. The simulation does not just replace reality. People begin to prefer it. The filtered photograph is more beautiful than the unfiltered person. The movie version of history is more emotionally satisfying than the messy actual history. The curated online identity is more coherent than the contradictory reality of an actual life. The AI companion is more consistently understanding than any human being could be. The simulacrum, he wrote, is never that which conceals the truth. It is the truth which conceals that there is none. Read that again. The fake does not hide what is real. What is real hides the fact that everything is simulation. Now it is 2026. AI generates photorealistic videos of people doing and saying things they never did or said, indistinguishable from actual footage. Synthetic influencers with no human behind them have millions of followers who interact with them as if they are real people, because to the people interacting, they are. A man in Nigeria recently told journalists that he shared videos about political leaders on WhatsApp for months, videos that moved him, that felt important, before discovering they were entirely AI-generated. Baudrillard did not need to see this. He already knew where it was going. Because the technology is not the cause of hyperreality. It is only the final visible form of a process that began long before any of us were born. So what does Baudrillard actually want from you? He was careful not to offer solutions. He was suspicious of anyone who claimed to have an escape from the hyperreal, because the escape itself would likely be another simulation. But he believed, completely, that the act of seeing clearly is not nothing. The person who cannot see the simulation, who consumes models of the world as if they are the world, who feels outrage or joy or love or contempt based on representations engineered to produce exactly those feelings, has given up the most fundamental human capacity, the capacity to encounter reality directly, unmediated, as it actually is rather than as it has been optimized to appear. That encounter is still possible. It requires effort and discomfort, and the willingness to be in a world that does not come filtered for your engagement. Baudrillard was born in 1929 in Reims, France. He grew up the son of a civil servant. The first in his family to attend university, he spent his career watching the post-war world become exactly what he had described. He died in 2007, having never seen social media, having never seen a deepfake, having never seen AI-generated content. He did not need to. The question he leaves you with is not about technology. It is about your own experience, right now, today. When was the last time you felt something that was not mediated by a screen, not curated for your consumption, not optimized for your engagement? Not a copy of an experience engineered to produce the feeling of experience. A conversation that was not being documented, a place you visited without photographing it, a feeling you had that you did not immediately translate into content. If you cannot remember, Baudrillard already has your answer. We are not approaching the simulation. We are not on the edge of it. We are living inside it. The desert of the real, he called it, is not a future condition. It is the present one. This is Philokimi. We will see you in the next one.